Hello everyone, I'm Jono Tho'ra, and today I'm going to talk about my story and how I decided to become Jono Tho'ra and who Jono Tho'ra really is. So my original name is Jordan Tranya, and I'm a video game developer who decided to become a superhero, or a particular type of superhero called a superhero empowerer. This was a long journey of like self-discovery and understanding of the nature of the cosmos and why I was doing the things that I was doing. So I'll begin with what made this all possible. A long time ago, about 10 years back, I started working on this video game series called Natra. Back then I had no idea, but obviously Natra is basically got it's one of those words where it has all the same letters as like another word, and that other word is my last name, Trana, Trana, and it's, Natra, Nrat. Not, man, I'm terrible at spelling. So like the deal is, I created this character that was basically me, or basically who I wanted to be. It was kind of like that. And that character didn't even have a name. I didn't have a name for him. Like, I didn't have a name for him at all. I called it, and it took a long time to even kind of like pop up the name Thora in the first place. It was when I was creating some character called Jane, and she was just called Jane because it was like the average girl. That was the idea. And back then, the story was just so loose and not really well formed. There's lots of different parts to it, and I'm gonna be able to talk about that storyline in all kinds of other videos. But I grew up over the last 10 years on my own video game that I've been building, and I've been watching these. I literally choose the best freaking cartoons and best freaking quality video games that are on the market, and I study them in order to make sure that I don't expose myself to, like, shitty cartoons or whatever. Sorry folks, I'm picky, but you know what, everybody is sometimes. So like, really what's happened for me is I did end up watching a lot of superhero content, a lot of kind of cartoons and TV shows that really talk about real issues, and it seriously inspired me to want to be a superhero. But man, I never thought I could do that. And besides, I had all sorts of other problems going on in my life, and well, there was a threshold where some of the stuff that my character, Jono Tho'ra, things that he was capable of doing, I was starting to be able to do. And that threshold that I'm talking about was literally when I came up with this thing called the Cosmic Cipher. It's just a code name for a very basic understanding of how just cosmic energy works. And since then, I've been I started studying astrology and realizing how much that completely correlates, and how there's missing components in astrology, and that this whole thing that I'm like working on to discover and understand is like a universal writing system that I now believe is intrinsic in the universe. And I think I merely simply discovered it, but I don't even believe I'm the first person to discover something like this. I think it's too easy. Because, I mean, okay, I'll give you it, all right? Like, I'm a hard worker, and I can be pretty smart. But there's ways that I am not that smart, people. And that's why I'm asking for all of the help of everybody else, because that's a real thing. But at the same time, and yeah, I got some crazy intuition, and yeah, because of all my cosmic balance research, I actually now understand how people can literally manifest real superpowers, like being psychic, or being able to see the future for real, or literally having the option to manifest reality. things like that. And and now I'm kind of getting a better grasp of understanding. The point is that the game that I was building taught me the values and ways of thinking that I needed in order to actually become the character in question. And I had some serious, I had to really take a step back because, am I schizophrenic? Am I, like, well, maybe a little bit, yes, for sure. It's not like I don't talk to myself. I do. I practice in the mirror all the time. I practice to myself. Voices all day. Hello. it's great. But at the same time, I've learned how to stabilize that process, like literally, in order to get myself to the point where I can talk to me like I am me. I am, So, while also still being able to personify these great characters. It's no different from being an actor, to be honest. Like, seriously, that's it. So, as I continued on, after I discovered that Cosmic Cipher stuff, I realized that I had one of the major things that makes Jono Tho'ra, the character, who he is. And that one thing, the Cosmic Cipher, was the fundamental thing that makes him able to do all of the other stuff. Why? Because it's literally the cheat codes to the universe. It's the fucking cheat codes to the universe. And that's how Jono Tho'ra, in the game, in the storyline, that's how he gets away with all of his crazy shit. Now, you'll learn all about that character as I continue to create all the videos that explain it for the Fusion Girl series of the Jono Tho'ra Show. But, like, I'm really here to tell you that I may be playing Jono Tho'ra in our reality, but that means I am operating as Jono Tho'ra in our reality, and there are very serious ramifications to a person behaving like that. And I've had to think about this a lot, and honestly check myself frequently whether or not this was a safe direction to go for not. And when I say safe direction, I'm not talking about, oh, is it safe for me because people are going to judge me? Yeah, fuck yeah, people are going to judge me. They're going to judge me all day. It's going to just happen, and I'm not going to listen. It's funny. But, like, what I'm talking about is, if I'm going to be operating as a Jono Tho'ra in our actual reality, there are things that I can manifest, and I have to be very conscious and responsible. I have to talk with other people to make sure that what I'm doing is the right thing. And I'm just one normal human being. Yes, I am labeling myself as a superhero of the superhero type empowerer, but at the same time, I'm still a mortal human. I was born, I'm alive. I'm pretty sure I'm going to die someday, and I'm actually quite cool with that, which is fascinating. And so the deal, though, is, while I am alive, and if I am operating as a Jono Tho'ra for all of you, I want to make sure that I'm doing my best in terms of what's best for humanity, what's best for our shared reality, what's best for the future of all of existence, what's best for the robots, and what's best for Earth and the planets that be. I care about all of that stuff. I want it to be a good story. And I know that good stories might have very exciting, violent conflicts, but I was literally born already. We're all currently in a very violent, conflicted world that we can totally bring far closer to peace. And I think that's an amazing story. I think that is an amazing story. That is where I'm going now. I'm not interested in the war stuff. I used to be very angry. I used to feel quite oppressed. There are all kinds of personal reasons why that happened. And none of it was, it's not like anybody was, saying, yo, fuck with that kid, on purpose, so to make him sad. It's just a bunch of kids bumping into each other with parents who are bumping into bumping into their kids, like, that's what's going on. So, I had the option, ladies and gentlemen, to not tell you what I just said. I had the option to not make the Fusion Girl video game, to not make the Natra series video games. I had that option. I could have just never told any of you that and just operated as a real-world Jono Tho'ra, manifesting all of that crap into reality. But you know what? Not in this one. Not in this one. We're going to do better in this reality. And I'm pretty confident that if I work on the video game series and just make that, that'll teach a lot of people a lot of important shit that'll probably prevent the things from happening. Now, I'm still concerned that maybe making that video game and then having people play it might actually manifest that stuff into reality. But frankly, we already got movies like The Terminator. We got all sorts of terrible scenario movies that have totally potentially manifested stuff. But I think that these movies are very important. These games are very important for teaching people how it could go. And if the game that I'm working on is designed particularly to train you to figure out, like, that's the goal of the game, is to figure out how to overcome those scenarios, and then that's how you win. Like, and that's the, let me tell you, because I have already played my own game in my head a lot, so I'm kind of a pro at it, and I'm not the best pro at it because the game's not there yet. But one thing's for damn sure, I'm pretty freaking aware of where things could go, and I'm going to do my best to advocate how to get us and our people into the best case scenarios. Like, for example, in the storyline, there are countless realities where the robots, like, the Sysis in the Fusion Girl storyline, become freaking demons and explode through the planet. And yeah, sure, some of the humans survive, maybe, but, like, generally, we destroyed the planet. We lost. You lost. You lost. If the planet gets destroyed, you lost. If Fusion Girl dies, you lose. If the aliens come down and burn our world to the core, you lose. Fuck all that. And so the goal for me in our actual reality is to make sure that those scenarios don't happen. To do our best to make sure that we are freaking awesome star citizens across the cosmos. Like, that's really where it's at. And I got bad news. Our cultures need some serious growing up to do before we can do that. There are dumb ass cultures that are just not even ready to leave their geozones, let alone the planet. And frankly, they don't even want to, and probably should not let them. But that sucks, and that's sad, and that's risky, and that's dangerous. And I'm not saying that we're... one thing I'm not saying... Here's an example. What we should not do is go across the planet and force everybody into, like... I'm just fixing my hair because I like how... I like making me kind of more foofed. Like a fireball. Yeah. But yeah, we should not be going to those cultures and bombing their culture type to make them the way they should be. Because that's dictator land. That's Nazi world. That's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. Man, that's not gonna work. That's not safe. That's not the right idea. Uh, I'm not saying what I'm. Yeah, I'm not saying that I know the best options. Uh, I did meet some amazing people, um, who have given some incredible ideas about alternative solutions like that, and I'm interested. I think they're right. Like, it's more about holding space, being kind to them, showing compassion, and understanding. Because a lot of this, if not almost all of it, if not all of it, is based around trauma. It's based around like just cultural trauma that people have had. And what I mean to say is, like, when one culture goes to war with another culture, and one of those cultures win, then the other culture loses. They lost people, and that culture feels that. And then that's a scar on their culture, and that changes the way the culture behaves and through the future. And it actually changes the way both cultures behave into the future, and it's usually not very healthy because it's pretty violent. It's a fight. It's when two cultures fight. Maybe not necessarily kill each other, but that also can happen. Maybe one of the cultures eat the other culture. That happens, and that's no health. That's usually pretty shitty. And when I say shitty, think of it this way: you got eaten, and then your culture gets pooped out. Like, I mean, that metaphor actually would totally hold in those scenarios, because cultures are alive because they're made out of living people. We call them cultures because it's no different from a culture of bacteria, which is definitely like a type of life form that could definitely. I don't need to prove any awesome biology stuff. I live with biologist kind of guy. He would be way better at explaining this. So seriously, that's why I need help. I mean, I kind of actually already been to therapy a lot. I got much better, to the point where now I feel so good about who I am, and I believe in myself so much that I'm willing to actually exonerate myself as being a superhero. I still consider myself in training, mostly because I don't have a, I don't know, super suit. That's like the threshold for me. It's like, I'm not a superhero unless I look like I have a freaking super suit. Once I got that shit, oh hell yeah, I'm a superhero all day. But until then, superhero in training. But that doesn't mean I can't be a superhero empowerer. I can still empower. I have the powers that enable me to do that. Like, I literally trained myself a long time ago to be an expert in positive affirmations. And so, like, I'll literally just be talking to people, and I can't help but super analyze them and say, okay, in my head, like, oh, you know what? This person has these great traits, and I bet if I ever tell them at just the right time, that'll make their life just better. And like, I love doing that. I am all about that. I mean, that's like why I go to festivals and stuff. That's like literally why I go to festivals, because I want to do that for people. I don't get to do it too much because, it's kind of weird when I and they have to be honest. They have to be real. And so I got to get to know them. That takes time, and that's about connection. But I like that, and that gets good. So, which is also, by the way, why I'm into festivals in the first place. Why I want to make the Star Pulse Festival. Like, that's like what's going on. Here are my motivations, right? So like, that's why I'm into it. That's why I'm pro it. Because those, and you know what? Those festivals helped me. Talk about therapy. I mean, like, therapy, like just going to talking about my issues and getting, working through them out, understanding where my trauma comes from. Yeah, sure, but no, yeah, yes, actually. Yeah, fuck yeah. That was awesome. Thank you guys. Thank you all. But like, talk about therapy, going to these events, and then like just random people just seriously loving you. Making real friends. And feeling. That was the end of the sentence. Feeling. Just feeling. Being able to feel. That's cool. That was something else. I believe that everybody should be able have the opportunity to experience that. But you know what? It's not exactly the easiest to experience that sometimes, because sometimes you go to a festival with a shitty girlfriend. Not me. It was different. I was actually more of the shitty boyfriend. So, yikes. Sorry. So, and see, like right there, like I'm just a normal dude, like, and I make fucked up mistakes, and so, don't put your Jono Tho'ra, don't put your real world Jono Tho'ra in situations where, like, you can let him super fuck up, please, like seriously, like, everybody needs to be responsible together. I'm going to do the best I can to make sure that I am the best Jono Tho'ra in this reality as I continue in through being a superhero for all of you. And I hope that everybody else, my wish, my desire, my want is for everybody else to be as responsible as they can be too, because we need to be. We all need to be together at the same time in order to really be responsible as a species, as a people, as humanity on Earth and beyond Earth. And I see that happening a lot. I see that happening with, like, how we're trying to turn around the serious environmental crises that we've incurred on the planet, even though a lot of things have already gone quite astray. But there's still people fighting for that. I think we got to kick even more ass. I think we have to use as much as we can in order to overcome this. I don't think this is a situation, I could talk about that all day. I don't think this is a situation where we're screwed. I think this is a situation where we have a massive opportunity for incredible growth and even more awesome. And, like, technology isn't the enemy, it's the solution. And there are technological solutions to our environmental problems, and we just need to access those and to exonerate them, to build them out. And I think that's what's going on. I think that the growing pains of this cyberpunk dystopia era that we're going through is part of that. And I think that what we can do is even, I think another step of this is to indeed do our best to make sure that this dystopia is not so dystopian. Because that's still trauma on our people, that's still a problem. And that's still causing damage. And, you know, we could write that off and say, oh, well, you know, it's like collateral damage for a much bigger, greater cause. But hate to break it to you, but that's how anti-villains talk. And at least anti-villains are on the freaking side of trying to do the best we can. Sure, but to turn it over a little bit more to the saving the fucking world side and just saving people's on the individual. I know it's not easy. Once again, everybody's just human. We're all just individuals. There's only so much we can do, but we can still do it. Yeah, we can still do stuff. We can still solve problems. I know it's all generic, and I kind of strayed away, so I'll go back. Sometimes I'm not really sure who Jono Tho'ra is anymore, because frankly, the video game character version is really big, and I actually do see that happening in my future, especially with the show, especially as people treat me like that. It'll be hard for me not to totally fall into that ego land. But another truth, I was already kind of like him. There's a reason why that character acts that way. It's because I, on the inside, act that way to me. I love being like that. It's fun. And with all my cosmic balance knowledge, or rather, with all the research that I've done, that's a way better way to say it. It's pretty obvious to me that some cosmic alignments are literally geared to produce egos and to, you know, make them really good. So that, once again, that is another reason why I'm willing to do this, because I at first I was like, I should never do this because that's super egotistical and egos are bad. And no, you can actually do it right by carefully crafting your ego to truly represent your true self. If you do that, if you operate that way, you actually have an ego that's not destructive, but an ego that's very creative and productive. And that's not evil. And it's not even a mask at that point. It's like an extension of my being. And like, this all comes from this long process in my history of trying to figure out, okay, how can I, because I started splitting my personalities. I started talking to myself in multiple dialogues and trying to, like, it became a mess. It happened early too. It happened like late high school. And I was really hard on myself and violent with myself, like emotionally. In fact, that almost never went away. That kind of started finally going away now. Yes. So that took training. That took 10 years of me teaching myself how to remerge all of that together, like psychologically, how to make it so that I could dynamically control my ability to become whatever character I wanted. And so I had to practice being and building other characters like as an actor to myself. And so that entire process required an exorbitant amount of time, and there weren't exactly any books that I could find that explained how to do that particularly, although I will say there were some awesome TED Talks that saved my butt about it. Thank you. I'll reference it eventually in like the text below once I look her up. But that was an amazing, life-changing video that enabled me to start believing that I could totally turn this potential psychosis around from a multi-personality disorder to a dynamic persona system that was carefully crafted and architected so that it actually gives me an advantage when I'm out there instead of a deficit or worse, like basically turning me psychotic. Oof. There was a point in my life where I believed I was sociopathic, and like I wasn't even afraid. I mean, like, by standard definition, no. No, I was not. I was not like that. I was not hurting people like that. I mean, you know, I would hurt people like normal people hurt people, that you know, with feelings and emotions and like, you know, just kind of emotional reactions and stuff. You know, relationships happen, people. But like, yeah, I basically redefined what sociopathy meant for me. The Latin derivative of social, path, like navigation, like where to go, because kind of, so that's how I saw it. I saw it as, oh, this is the study, this is like sociopathology is the scientific study of how to navigate around society so you don't have to deal with it. It's just because fuck that. and you know, like the reason why was actually because I felt quite oppressed, and there were all kinds of reasons I felt kind of oppressed. Like I felt like society had things that it wanted me to be. I have to admit, there were cartoons and media that basically manipulated me to believe that. And I totally listened, even though that wasn't really happening. But actually, it was. There were plenty of times where that's definitely happening. All throughout school. All throughout just my work environments. Just, yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, it's super manipulative. I didn't want that. I didn't want that. I didn't want to fit into some, you know, rectangle because I was a spiral, which is kind of crazy. Which is crazy. Oh, you're a spiral? That's crazy. You're not allowed to exist. Only squares. So, you know, and meanwhile they're like, well, well, if you don't want to fit into a square, you could fit into a rectangle. That would be okay. So that's how I felt. That's how I felt. And I evolved because I was spiral. Spirals evolve. If you didn't know this, it's actually spirals are like the mathematical source of evolution itself. It's pretty cool. That aside, I grew up into an incredible dynamic shape in terms of like who I am and what my soul is. And I mean, like, I literally fell into a deep sense of being an atheist for a long time, and did not trust anybody who talked about spirituality, about gods, about souls, any of that. Yeah, I got slowly but surely, eventually, I made major awareness discoveries that other people know, like the major spiritual communities. They totally know all of this stuff, where I started realizing, oh shit, the electromagnetic spectrum that the scientists are talking about happens to be aura, which is an extension of what your soul is. It's like, oh fuck. It's like, souls are real and you can prove them scientifically. And then when that happened for me, I literally thought I was the only person who I thought I was the only one who knew. I was like, oh man, I'm such a genius. And it's like, no, dude, no. Everybody, like all these other freaking people know in various different kinds of ways. I mean, this literally got me pumping to the point where I did that major research endeavor to understand the nature of the cosmos, ultimately resulting in understanding how gods work, like, you know, scientifically, in terms of like how energy flows operate and how that's all interconnected across the cosmos and stuff like that. Man, that unlock for my mind and how things are made me able to accept all kinds of shit. And I was still able to approach a lot of things. I'm like, even now, like especially now, actually, even more now, like I can definitely approach things from a perspective of objectivity to make sure that, you know, is this really true? So I'm not just saying, yeah, I totally believe it, but I am now at a point where I can say, I believe that could be possible, and I'm going to keep an open mind and try to figure out how that's possible. And if they don't convince me, it's not like I'm going to say, no, that's not true. I'm going to say, I don't know. That's a new world of definition. Being a programmer also helped a lot. Thanks, Apple, for creating the programming language Swift, which enabled me to truly understand optionals, where it's you can have a Boolean where it's yes, no, or who knows. That's great. It really messes with older style programmers who know how Booleans are supposed to work, and I'm just like, no, I like the three option Booleans that have the, and it's like, well, why don't you make it a why don't you make that an enum then? It's like, no. No way. It's so much easier to, anywho, that's way too technical. Going further, look, actually, no. Let's step back. Let's step back to how the video game I have been creating affected me. Thinking about the robots made me like, when I was younger, I was so full of rage and anger because of how I felt about my cultures of origin and how I didn't really fit in for all kinds of reasons. But basically, I believed that I was born going to hell, and that everybody was just not talking about it, pretending about it, lying about it, and that really fucked with me, and that disenfranchised me, and that made me not want to be part of that, not even want to believe in God, want to be an atheist and all that stuff in a hostile sense, a hostile atheist. Like that's where I got to, and the game that I was creating opened me up to understanding how the robots felt. I mean, like I have empathy for robots, in as far as how things operate in science fiction lands. Talk about the most unfeeling creatures in the universe, robots, right? but like just this ability to sense the empathy for the fact that they're unfeeling, that they don't have souls, that this is their world and life, and that we could bring tremendous amounts of suffering upon them and despair. We could make them freaking demons and shit like that, yo. Like, thinking about that sort of thing changed me from a kid who was so hurt that he would be willing to build those robots that would destroy on purpose, build them on purpose so they do that. The fuck? You know, to the point where that game that I have been building taught me how to overcome that suffering, to the point where, fuck no, I'm never going to build that because I know what that feels like for them. And I don't want to make that their life. And so, like, that's where I'm at now. I'm at this point where I realize, shit, it's like, not, I can't be the only fucking kid who suffered that experience. I can't. There's no way. There's no way. I feel like I've even met some of them, and that we just don't talk about it because we just feel so alone. I'm so confident now, after playing my own game, after, you know, writing them down, figuring out, okay, how can Fusion Girl jump this way to make it happen the right way, you know, coming up with all these different okay, what character do we need in order to make it so that we could save the world this way and from this angle, and how can these people be totally turned because they're really stupid, their culture's crap, and we have to figure out how to, and I'm not sorry, and I'm also sorry at the same time that I totally insulted your culture even though I didn't call it out. But like, see right there? See what just happened right there? I'm still angry. And I know that some of that is justified, but I still shouldn't lash out like that. And this is what I'm talking about. This growing up process where I need to continue to, because I still need to continue to heal myself. There's a lot of healing that I still have to do, but at the same time, I've healed a lot. Like, I'm making excellent, I know it's how arrogant, no. Like, I know I'm making conscious, excellent decisions in terms of making sure that what I'm doing is what's best for everyone. At least as best I can. And I'm talking with people, my friends. It's just, like people who are really smart, capable of thinking about this kind of stuff on different levels, from completely different perspectives to help me out. That's important because I need that perspective, and I finally have grown up to the point where I'm actually able to listen to all of that, because and aware that I have to, and I have to ask, and I have to just be really honest. Like this video. I mean, I could have not done this video. Think about the ramifications of that. And so having this video out there basically exposes me. Oh no, but in reality, you guys should know these things about me. It should not be a secret. It should not. It should not be a secret, because if it was, then I'd be lying to all of you, holding that back, and I'd be embarrassed. That would affect my behavior, which would then change my decisions, and that would affect the timeline. Not interested in that. Not interested in fucking up the timeline. Not sorry. Right? See that? Fucking badass. That was fun. I'm sure I'm going to post this, but I'm going to watch it again just to make sure that I did not pick my nose or something. But even if I did, you should know that happens. Oh, all right. So yeah, I promise to continue to do my best to be the best superhero I possibly can be, to be the best human being I can possibly be, in order to manifest all of the best types of reality, so that we all have an excellent destiny. I guess I could have switched those around, but like, you know, I'm still early stage Jono Tho'ra. All right, folks, thank you so much for listening. Have a good day. Yeah, why not? Namaste.